Week 32, day one. I wish I was there with you. This is one of those qualities that you would love to have a classroom and be talking to the students or whoever it is, have a conversation about. It is so much more meaningful than to just go through what we're going to go through. But on page 172, the definition that it gives you there is that really, if I can take it and paraphrase it, it's the journey is what's important, not so much the destination. And that's, I don't care where you are or what your destination is, what you call success. You know, I always said if we won a state championship, I would be happy and I'd never ask for anything else in my life. Well, that's not true. What's so important is the journey. I know the last year that I coached was in my hometown, and the Idle Bell Warriors had not won a district championship in 32 years, and we won the district championship, first time in 32 years. And at the banquet, we always had the seniors get up and give their favorite moment of the year, and they could say anything they wanted to. I mean, all holes barred. You could say anything you wanted to. And what truly amazed me is that they had not won a district championship in 32 years, and not one player talked about a game. They all talked about things that happened in practice or things that happened in school outside the game of football. It wasn't the winning the championship that meant so much to them. It was the journey and the people they were on the journey with. One thing about success, and you need to write this down. You don't need to just hear this. You need to write this down. Material things are not success. And that, unfortunately, the world is going to teach you the bigger your house you have, the more successful you are. The better the car, the more cars. All the material things you have are the determine your success. Well, let me tell you something. A house, you can have the nicest house in the world, but you can't buy a home. You can buy the most expensive bed in the world, but you cannot buy a good night's sleep. You can buy a joy, but you can't buy happiness. You can buy a companion, but you can't buy friends. And the things that really matter in life are those things. My brother-in-law just passed, Bill Howell, and he and Ann were married for over 60 years and had three wonderful children, Andy, Allen, and Amy. And as I watched the funeral on virtual, it dawned on me, you know, Bill Howell was maybe one of the most successful people I've ever known. And when you start thinking about it, probably nobody that's listening to me even knows who Bill Howell was. But when you determine that success is based on three things, in my opinion: faith, family, and fun. He was so successful at his faith. I mean, there wasn't any doubt that he was a believer in Jesus Christ. He was a believer, and you could tell it. You could tell by his works, you could tell by the fruit, you could tell that he was successful in his faith. He was successful in his family. He had a great family, and they stuck together and they supported each other. They had each other's back. And the third part, they had fun. I mean, it was not laborious. They got together, they fished, they hunted, they had card games. Everything they did, they had fun. They love to be around each other. Now that's success. Faith, family, and fun. If you're successful in your faith, I don't care what it is. If you're successful in your faith and you're successful in your family and you're successful in fun, you are a success. Don't get caught up in things that are irrelevant. How many cars you have? Which car do you have? What's your house look like? Those things don't determine your success. You look at some of the people that had more than anybody else in the world materially, committed suicide. So they were miserable. And they were envied by a lot of people. I'm not going to go into names because I don't think that's fair to them, me judging them or saying that they weren't successful. You read the quote here by George Washington, and I absolutely love that quote. I think it is a perfect manner in coaching football. And as I've said, George Washington, I think, was the perfect example of a football coach taking a seventh grade football team and beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the Revolutionary War. That's essentially what he did. Take a bunch of ragtag militia and beat the most powerful country in the world with the greatest arm, the greatest navy, the greatest ground forces in the world. And Washington was 2-7 in his battles. So in today's times, he would have been fired as a football coach. But during the horrible winter at Valley Forge, he sent a letter to the Congress and he asked for some luxurious items like shoes and coats and food. And these are the things that he was asking the Continental Congress for as far as money. And the Continental Congress, kind of like the first booster club that ever lived. If George was a seventh grade football coach and he was fighting the Kansas City Chiefs, the Continental Congress was the first booster club in history. And they wrote him back and they said, "Hey, George, we'll send you money if you guarantee us you're going to win. You got to guarantee us you're going to win or we ain't going to send you any money. Because if we lose, the British will hang every one of us, kill us. So we want to guarantee that you're going to win." And Washington wrote back, and I think it's the most powerful quote about success that there is. And he said, "Nobody can guarantee success. I cannot guarantee success. I can guarantee you something better than success. I'll guarantee you we're going to deserve success." Now, Washington is at Valley Forge watching his troops being drilled by von Steuben, watching them bond together, watching them become a cohesive group with one cause, free America. And he says, we're going to do something better than success. We're going to deserve success. It's the same thing as when you ask someone, what do you want? You don't ever ask them, what do they want? We had a lock-in before we started every season. And at the end of that lock-in, it was a one-night thing, and one of the things that we did, we had these questions that we asked. And the first question that we asked was, where are you? Because you can't determine where you want to go if you can't determine where you are. And the second question was, what are we going to call success? Is a winning season, are we going to call that success? Is undefeated, is that success? What is it going to take for us to call it a success? You see, you can't ever ask somebody, what is it that you want? I want $10,000 for this old pickup of mine. What are you willing to settle for? I'll give you $7,000. You got it. So what are you willing to settle for? When you sit down as a group at a company or in a football team or in a class, an English class or a history class, and you say to yourself, what am I going to call success? An 82? A winning season? A starting position? What is it that I'm going to call success? It's just like our goals. What are you going to call success this week? You write them down, and then you write down what the plan is. It's going to be a great week. I absolutely love this quality, but I wish we were together so we could talk about it and discuss it, and you could tell me your side of it. See you tomorrow.